Okay, great. So let's get started. So again, good morning and good evening, wherever you're located today. You're very, very welcome to our webinar on the latest release for achieving better stock control in 2022. I'm Sharon Mulligan, one of the product experts here with Enterprise, and I'm also joined today by my colleague Archie Fielding, also product expert. And I'm located here in Ireland, and Archie is joining us from Malaysia. So you're very welcome wherever you are, and jump right in and enlighten you today on the value of having a better stock control and what we've done and improvements that we've done within Enterprise to get you there. So just a little bit, first of all, about us and who we are. So as you can see there, we are currently in excess of 100 employees, over 10 locations globally, and with over 15 years in business, but a lot of years, of course, in addition to that, with experience. A lot of us have been within the business a very, very long time, and particularly coming from the days of SAP. And you can see there's some of the awards that we've achieved over that time. In terms of enterprise, you can see that we've got over 10,000 users, over 75 countries with 150 partners. And just a couple of our primary management team that we have in place. So diversity and culture is so important to us as a company, and being able to give everybody equal opportunity to work within their chosen area within Enterprise, and of course our sister company Milner Brown. So introducing you, of course, to Enterprise. If you're not currently a customer using Enterprise, this is who we are. So Enterprise is an ERP software solution, so designed specifically and especially for SMEs. The reason it's been done for the SME market is to provide and take away the need for all of the multiple tools for day-to-day business processing. So we wanted to provide an all-in-one business management software that could bring all of your tools together under one roof. And the idea of being able to access that anytime, anywhere, of course, whether that's through the browser, so in the cloud, or whether that's through the mobile apps when you're on the road. So it really does give you the flexibility and added value and benefit of being able to use it wherever you are on your day-to-day business. So inventory management and supply trends. So just looking at a little bit of statistics here for 2022. I think we've all at some point had to make a decision and to look at, the fact that cloud-based technology really is where it's at currently at the moment. I mean, accessibility to cloud-based software, being able to access that anytime, anywhere, and particularly over the last 2 years. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole COVID routine and conversation around COVID, but obviously having access to cloud-based software over the last 2 years has been at the forefront of all businesses. And the whole point of that is that you're reducing your costs without having to have on-premise technology in place. That you literally can be out in your car, you can be at home in your sitting room, you can be sitting in your bedroom at the desk and accessing the information that you need to run your business at any time. Multi-warehousing becomes widespread. So I think everybody's looking at cutting costs, the carbon footprint, being able to have stocks closer to customers, making delivery times faster and quicker. And of course, that means being able to scale and grow your business faster, where stock is available to deliver to your customers as and when you need it. So real-time inventory, and that's what we do with Enterprise in terms of accessibility to data and analytics and forecasting. So being able to see business critical data at any time, being able to access that information. So as transactions are processed within the system, you want to be able to run a report there and then, or look at a particular item and say, well, actually, is that available? Is that in stock? Where have I got that in stock? What location have I got that in stock? What deliveries have I already scheduled for that particular stock? Being able to track that stock from supply to demand right down to the customer, and being able to ensure that that data is available at all times. So obviously it means that decisions can be made faster across the business. And of course, omni-channel selling. So we have seen over the last couple of years in particular, we've all needed access to some form of online selling, online purchasing, and being able to make that experience better for everybody across all shopping channels, but also the supply chain. The supply chain is very important to all businesses. Being able to manage where the stock is coming from, knowing that the supplier that you're dealing with is the right supplier for you, and ensuring that any merchants, manufacturing that goes on, that all of those channels are connected and that you have visibility to where that stock has come from and where that stock is going to in terms of your customers and your merchants. So what are the advantages and added values of cloud inventory management software? Well, of course, stock, and being able to replenish that stock as and when needed. And automation has become a key factor in ensuring that that replenishment is looked after correctly, and obviously reducing the administration around getting the stock updated within your system. So automation is key to that. So being able to reorder items in bulk. So we're able to do that through Enterprise. We've got a reordering option where you can reorder items in bulk across multiple warehouses and multiple locations. Automatically create your purchase orders. So again, that you can approve the relevant purchase orders as they come through the system. And automation around document scanning, being able to scan your purchase invoices as they come through from your suppliers. Again, reducing administrative work, reducing the paper trail. So ensuring that information, no matter where you are. So again, this is all down to being available anytime, anywhere, that your system, no matter where you're sitting to administer your business, that the information is coming through the cloud software and just making that seamless for you. So of course that leads on then to collaboration is obviously faster. So you're bringing everything together, all the entities together, all the resources together. And that's key with an ERP system. You are bringing all your resources together. So you're basically enabling to produce the full picture of what's happening within your business, right down from procurement to finance. So looking at all the journal entries that are happening as a result of your stock entries, as a result of your stock movements. What stock have I got? What value of stock have I got? Any of all of the logistics, and of course, looking at information across departments, but it's all within one platform. So again, it brings you back to always being able to make well-informed decisions faster across your business operations. So again, sticking with the inventory side, the warehousing and inventory management, and I've mentioned it already, the multi-warehouse location, being able to schedule, your routine stock takes, so ensuring that stock takes happen when they should happen. You've got various other options with automation to do auto import, so you can schedule those imports from your SMTP server. You can avoid excess shipping charges with multi-location fulfillment. So inventory management is so important. And then being able to move stock. So for example, if you need to do transfers between locations to quickly move stock between locations, it's so simple and so easy to do within a cloud-based system. And of course, again, being able to trace that stock as it comes through. So with batch traceability. So with Enterprise, you have the ability to assign batches to your items as they come through your procurement. So as you purchase that stock and bring it through the system, you can assign batches to that. And what does that do for you? The value of that is you get control. You get control over the stock that comes in and the quality of the stock, or what you're manufacturing at that point in time, the fresh items, to ensure that there's no wastage with regards to those fresh items coming through the stock system. So being able to track the expiration dates, being able to see who they've come from, if you've been receiving stock or fresh goods from a particular supplier, to ensure that you can track from supply to demand. So when you've issued that stock and that batch to your customer, that you have reports and data to ensure that you know that that stock is still fresh and can be controlled at that point. So monitoring ingredients and materials across multiple warehouses to optimize levels. So again, we can do that all through the batch traceability and when you're manufacturing your end products. So we also have sales and CRM. So again, connected to the inventory and accounting module. So giving your sales team control and visibility by connecting them to the inventory so that they can log the sales quotes and sales orders, and then it keeps everything going through to the invoicing so that the inventory and finances are accurate at all times. Distribution and scheduling. So you can plan your deliveries. We've got a delivery scheduler where you can drag and drop those deliveries to the schedule planner for your team. So you'll always know. So for example, if you have a number of van drivers, they've got the delivery app, which is on their mobile. They're out on the road. All the schedule comes through to their delivery app. They go out and deliver, whether that's goods or services to your customer. They can then take signatures, which is automatically updated back to the back end system. So the person sitting in the office doing the administration knows that that company has been looked after, their service has been complete, and the signature has come back to say that they are happy with the work that was carried out or with the stock that they've received. So you get better visibility across all of your warehouses as well with the inventory management. So then it reduces the need for manual based systems and bringing all your tools under one roof. So this is just an outline of what we've done here with Enterprise and the new releases for 2022. These are just some of the wonderful features that we've done. And through the next demonstration with Archie, he is going to give you an in-depth look, and particularly around the inventory side of things. Just to mention here, for example, with the manufacture of bill of materials and making your end products, we can do this now directly within the item setup. We also have the bulk reordering for your manufactured items, where you can make the end products through the reordering function. You can use the copy from document, and this is a great tool that you can use to create your final document. So for example, if you have multiple deliveries or multiple sales orders and you want to bring them to one final invoice, you can create that using the copy from function. And doing so, you can choose the relevant product lines that will come into that particular final document to ensure that your finances and of course your inventory are all impacted correctly at the same time. So some wonderful features to look at. So I'm just going to hand straight over to Archie and he will take you through the full demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started on the physical demonstration. So there's going to be two main areas I'll be taking a look at today. Number one is the existing features that we have around stock management, and number two are the new elements. And I'd like to start here in the sales module and build off one of the areas that Sharon was talking about, which was with the connection between your sales and CRM over to your accounting modules. So that's the idea that if you're moving goods around via deliveries or invoices, the system is tracking the finances behind the scenes. You have journals being created and stock levels are automatically being updated. And that is what you see in here as you're creating your orders, your deliveries, and your invoices. That is all being managed. And while we're in here, one of the new features that has come is the new quick actions that you have from the grids. So those of you who have been with Enterprise for some time may know that if you wanted to manipulate these documents in any way, you actually had to drill into them. So I would have to, in this case, take my sales order, open it, and only from there could I edit or copy to another document, maybe download the PDF. So to save time now, all you need to do from this screen, from the grid, is just give it a right click and you'll see all of those quick actions will come up. So closing, cancelling, and editing, as I mentioned, even the copy to functions. So if I wanted to take one of these orders and maybe go directly to a sales invoice, I already know the order number. I don't need to necessarily drill in. I can just do that without having to go further. You can see the number of clicks this will start to save when you're dealing in bulk. So I've got an open sales invoice now, and it's pulled across all of my items with all of the additional information. And while we're in here, it will lead nicely to another new feature, which is the ability to copy from documents. This is something previously that you couldn't do. You had to take your base order and then you had to convert that to one invoice. Now with the new copy from feature, it lets you open any of your sales documents. Rather than add them one by one, you can press copy from, and this will give you a list of your existing open documents. And I can see at the top, I'm looking at sales quotes, sales orders, and sales deliveries. And I can actually even see the individual items within these. So I can see for document 1395 here, I have 2 items. And if I wanted to, I could actually just select one of the items from that one and maybe a whole document from another one. And it will build up the selected items over here on the right. And when you're ready, all you have to do is add the lines and it will just include those in there. And if you go into the linking afterwards, you'll be able to see that this individual invoice was actually copied from multiple quotes or orders or deliveries, whatever your base document was. Okay, and then from here, let's come actually into the items module itself. So this is where we're going to be spending the majority of the demo today. And I'd just like to talk about some of the existing features and then a bit on the new ones as well. So I'd like to focus in on the stock take feature. This is being the ability to do a reconciliation of the physical goods in your inventory. This is very easy to be able to get up just on a tablet. The Enterprise web browser, as you see it here, is fully compatible with any tablets. So getting this up and actually going through the warehouse physically is a very easy thing to do. So as I'm going through, I am selecting the warehouse that I'm doing this stock take for. I'm going to be able to see a list of my items within here. And as I come down, I'm ticking off my items either with a search to find the specific code or name, or if I have them in order, I'll be able to do this one by one. And I can see the count that the system thinks I have. And as I'm going through, I can maybe come through and do any adjustments if there are any, up or down, whichever it may be. And you can go through this one by one. You can post these individually, just one at a time, or go ahead and just press post all counted. And this will come down to a staging area at the bottom, and it will be removed from the top list. Very simple to do. This is still a staging area, as I say. This has not actually posted against our inventories yet until you press post differences down here. So if you do want to save this and come back to later, that's absolutely fine. You can close out of this and the information will be retained. If you do have a large inventory list, it can be done over multiple days. So routine stock takes is something that everybody will need to do eventually when you're dealing with stock. Eventually things will go missing, things will get damaged, and you may end up with a situation one day when your system thinks you have 100 of an item, but you go ahead and check the warehouse and there's actually none in there. So an important one to do and very easy and mobile with loading this in on a tablet. And now, while we are in here, one thing that Sharon was talking about was batch traceability and bill of materials. I'd like to talk about both of them a little bit because it's something that you can apply to multiple different items or similar items. Now, batch traceability being the ability to enable your items for batch numbers. So if you're dealing with goods that expire, for example, or they don't have to necessarily expire, anything that you want to track that come in batches, this is a great feature to use. And in order to actually apply it, it's very simple from an item. Let me open one that I know is batch enabled. It's just a very simple tick box on here. If this is ticked to use batch numbers, the system will go ahead and do that. And anytime you deal with goods going in or goods going out, these batch numbers will be used. You would either need to select them or create them when they're coming in, or if they're going out, you need to select from existing ones. And there's a multitude of different reporting options we have on this as well. So let's come in for a couple here. You can see the full suite over here. Let's just look at a couple. Batch availability, for example. If I just wanted a snapshot at maybe one of my items that was enabled on batches, I'm just going to give this a very quick search. Maybe select one that I know has some batches available. Give that a second to load, and we can see all of the individual batches currently open in the system and the quantities that's sitting within these individual batches as well, with unique batch numbering for each. Another report that you can do is maybe you'd like to see for a certain date in the batch expiry report, let's say by the 6th of next month, I'd like to see all of my items that will expire by that date or have expired in the past. You'll see there are a couple other filters in here. These are not mandatory, but you could filter down further to go by a specific item or a specific warehouse, for example. So I'm just doing this for everything, and I can see the full list of all my batches that will expire by that date. So it's a very useful way for me to be able to say, okay, I can export this, and I need to try and sell these goods before that date goes across. Then on from batches, we also have bill of materials. Bill of materials being the ability to do a kind of mini manufacturing run. So you can take a finished product in your system and create it from the raw materials. So again, if I just find an item that I know is set up for bill of materials, we're going to be able to take a look and see how this is set up. So I can come into the bill of materials tab. You can see in the item type, it is set as a bill of materials, and this is going to allow me to manufacture this. I'll just ask you to sort of ignore the makeup of these. This is made up of table and chairs, but we'll use this for demo purposes. So if I do a manufacturing run of one of this item, roti BOM, it would consume 4 chairs and 1 table. And I can do a manufacturing run very easily here. I select the ending warehouse and then select the quantity I like to make. And of course, the quantity will multiply by the quantity coming out of these. And just selecting make here will automatically create 2 goods adjustments for me, one to bring in the finished products and one to take out the raw materials. And you can see the button over here to edit batch numbers. If any of these items were batch enabled, the finished product or the raw materials, you would be able to select the batches as well. This works perfectly in tandem with each other, those 2 features. And let's just jump out of the items module now. I want to come into purchasing and talk about something else that Sharon mentioned as well, which is the item reordering. And this ties in again to what we were just talking about. Number one, just the item reordering in general is a nice new feature that allows you to automatically create purchase orders based on a reorder quantity. And for your items, you can define things like the minimum stock levels, the maximum stock, and a suggested reorder number, and even a supplier as well. And generating this report, the system will give you a suggested reorder quantity. Now, there's a host of other filters I can add in here when I'm looking for my items. I'm going to go ahead and just apply filters to look at everything. But if I wanted to, I could see only things below a minimum stock level, for example, go by a particular product group or warehouse, and you'll generate the full item list. What I will just come in is filter by my suggested reorder number and see what is currently sitting positive. And you can go ahead from here and see that items are sitting with minimum stock levels, maximum, and the system is going to give you that suggested reorder number. And it's very easy to come through here now and just populate these either with the suggested reorder number or a different number. And when you're ready to go, you can just select the tick box, and create order will create one or multiple purchase orders based off this. It depends on the supplier that you see in here on the right. If the supplier is all the same, it would just create one. If there's any different suppliers, it would create separate ones based on what was set up there. And as I say, all of this information you see here can be defined from the item master data. Not only can you do this for your physical items, if I also come into this tab here for bill of materials, this is what I was talking about when this ties into what I just showed you. Instead of doing a reorder for our physical items, we can instead do a manufacturing run. What you saw before with BOMs was just how I could, for a single item, create one or multiple manufacturing runs. But here in the item reordering, you can do this in bulk for as many of your bill of material items as you would like. And you can just come down and just do the run. And again, you have the same information about minimum stock, maximum stock, and enter the reorder quantity and go ahead and press the tick box. And when you press make to do the manufacturing run, this, instead of creating the purchase orders, is going to go ahead and create the goods issues and goods receipts. And this will all tie nicely back to what I was talking about at the start with the financials. Anytime any of these goods are going in or out, we have journal entries associated with them. We have financial postings out of our physical raw material accounts into our revenue accounts or vice versa. And this is all happening automatically. And you can always go into the accounting module and see what has come into place. This is all posting through your chart of accounts as well. So no more full features to show you in here, but I did just want to also mention some other examples of features that we've added in the past few months, which aren't necessarily as relevant to a full purchase or items demo. So discount amounts on item lines. You can enter your transactions with a negative discount if you have, for example, the need to increase the value of an item line. If you have a credit card charge, just as an example, you can go ahead and do that. Over in the services module, you can add a service call against a supplier account now. That was previously only available for service calls on customers. If you have an incoming payment that is coming through, as often is the case, maybe a customer hasn't quite paid the full amount or there's been charges along the way, you have the option to write off the balance. This is something that before, if any of you are involved in accounting, you know, you probably need to generate a credit note and it's off the invoice to reduce the value, and it's very tedious. This will do that automatically. So a write-off on an underpaid incoming payment will automatically generate a credit note attached to the invoice. And then finally, just a word on Shopify, which is one of the add-ons that we have on Enterprise connecting to your e-commerce store. So this is now integrated further. It's an integration that has been around for some years with us, and we're continuing to develop it. And you now have the option to include invoices from Shopify actually as a service. So a little away from the main idea of today's webinar. I know we're talking really about stock management here, but if there is a need for not tracking stock levels as orders come in from Shopify, you now have the option to do that, and actually an invoice will be posted as a service type invoice and not track inventory. So that's the case, then only the accounting is desired. But of course, you don't need to do that. The add-on as it works includes full stock traceability with physical item orders and invoices. Okay, so that will end the demo portion today. I hope that's been beneficial. I'm sure or I hope there's plenty of questions. I'd love to field some and answer some. I'll hand back just to Sharon quickly, who may have a slide or two, and then we'll go into a full Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Archie. Thanks a million for that presentation. And as Archie mentioned there, please do reach out and pop in your questions there to the chat, and we will try and answer as many questions as possible before the end of the webinar. So as Archie alluded there, I mean, just in terms of inventory management within Enterprise, and automation is key. Automation is so key, I think, to any business at the moment, just reducing any administrative time that you spend putting information into the system. And I think around inventory as well, because everything is automated through, particularly to the finances. I mean, that's important to note, and particularly around the manufacturing end. All of the receipts and issues, the goods issues that are created, are automatically flow through to your financials, and all those journals are automatically created for you. So that's important. So you always have access then to the final picture. You can see where the value of stock is moving at all times, raw materials, your revenue, your expenses, cost of sales, very important. So just in terms of what you can do to build, just a last piece here on supply chain resilience. So we look and understand the risk associated with each supplier so that you can take proactive steps to safeguard against it. So, you know, again, you know, supply and demand, being happy with what you're supplying, the goods that are coming from your supplier is so important. Being able to, the traceability associated with that supply chain as well is so important. And obviously with, as Archie has shown you there in terms of Enterprise and what we can do with the supply chain, and particularly around batch traceability, being able to track and trace where that information has come from, where the items have come from, where they sit in terms of your multi-locations, and of course then where you've supplied them then to your customers. So take a proactive long-term view to building your supply chain. Anticipate and use buffers of safety stock to avoid outages and shortages. So this is especially during product launches or seasonal sales. So again, scale bigger with the right technology solutions that will enable you to perform a range of initiatives and automation. I know the word automation has come up there so many times, but it really is key to all businesses, and particularly in the last couple of years, it's important that everybody has some part of automation to make life easier, and of course to encourage those business decisions that are critical and that need to be made fast at a time that's important to you. So it's important that you scale, when you're scaling bigger, that you choose the right technology for you and the right solutions, and look at the options available and ensure that it's going to cover all aspects of your business. And again, to give the full picture, even if you're not an accountant, but that you get the information that will give the accountant enough information to take from the system. And that's where the automation on the finances is key, and particularly coming from the inventory as well. So we've opened up there to a Q&A. So any questions, do feel free to ask, and Archie will jump back in and we'll answer as many questions as we can. So let's just check the Q&A to see what we have coming through.
Yep, there's just a few in there, and just there's a couple on whether we can show the full invoice function with batches. I think we probably don't have enough time to go through that today, so what we'll do is follow up directly with you after that, if that sounds fine, and we can arrange a demo around that.
Absolutely.
And similarly, a question on where webinar recordings can be accessed. Again, we'll follow up with that as well. They're often posted directly to our YouTube channel, though, if anyone's proactive around that.
They'll be on the YouTube channel. They'll also be on our Enterprise Engage website, and we will actually send all participants a copy and a link through to the webinar recording, so you don't miss out. And as Archie confirmed there, anybody that requires any further information or a further look at how these functions and features interact within Enterprise, absolutely, we'll reach directly out to you and ensure that you get a one-on-one demonstration of that.
Great. And then there is another question here on the Shopify invoices. The question is whether you have the option to take a Shopify invoice into stock management. So first of all, yes, the option is there. It's in the settings and the setup for Shopify. You can define for your organization whether you want it to go into one or the other. And then the next follow-up to that is, can you not limit to accounts only? So yes, as well, if you'd like to have your invoice actually not come in as an invoice originally, but come in as an order, a sales order, that's absolutely fine. And then you can review it first before you decide that you want to post it to any accounts. No problem. And with that, it wouldn't post any stock, of course, as well, until it actually hits the chart of accounts. So that's all I see in terms of questions, but I think we'll probably keep open for another minute or so if there are any late questions.
Yeah, nothing else come in there. Let me just check. No more questions?
Looks good. Means everything was answered.
That's great. I mean, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll just give that another moment or two. If you want to pop a question into the chat, that would be great. Just in terms of the Shopify and the integration piece there, as Archie confirmed, just with obviously now outside of inventory, we have the service invoicing option, and even on the inventory side, you can have the merchant, so any of the customer names that come through the Shopify channel can now actually come directly through into Enterprise, where they would have flowed directly through to a primary customer account within Enterprise. And let's say that customer account was called Shopify sales, for example. Now, whatever name that is placed on the order within Shopify, that's the name that will actually come through to the sales order or the sales invoice within Enterprise. So you have full traceability between both systems at all times. Okay, I think that's it, Archie. We've no more questions come through. Anybody else like to ask anything? No more hands to raise. Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And as confirmed, we will send on the recording, so you will have everything available to you. So these are just some of our channels where we can be reached. So as Archie mentioned regarding YouTube, and obviously these are just some of the social channels. And in fact, if you can indeed scan this QR code to book your free one-to-one demo. So I'll just leave that on the screen. Please do avail of it. As I've said, I've confirmed, you'll have a recording sent out to you. So we appreciate you taking your time out today and wish you a great rest of day